Hello and welcome to Kiddick Farms. We're back with another episode of UMRV Upper Mississippi River Valley, and today we've got a little bit of catching up to do on some of our spring work here on these grass fields. We've been really putting a lot of energy into getting these grass fields up to speed, but I'm hoping it's going to pay off here. We do have to keep these cows going, so it's actually really important that we get out here and take care of them. And today's activity, at least to start with, is going to be spreading some lime on these fields. Now, I've got this Proforce and this handy side door here, and we're just going to come right out here and start putting some lime down on this grass field that we did last fall. See if we can get this all situated. And then we'll jump over to that field that we just created last episode and also get some lime spread over there. And once we get the lime down, we may try and switch this thing over and put some dry fertilizer on as well, just because we do need to provide some nitrogen here for the grass. And I'm getting way down towards the creek here. We're not needing to get nowhere near that close. This spreader's got a nice wide pattern on it here. Realistically, I'd probably be terrified to try and drive a big spreader like this on the side hill, but everything seems to be working out just fine. I could probably go a lot faster than this as well. However, I feel like we just need to take it easy here, or we're going to end up in the creek with this whole setup, which is something I definitely don't want to do. The little engine that could get up on this hill, come on. Am I even getting to the edge of the field over here? It's always hard to see, and we're in the morning hours here, so it's a little bit foggy, and I'm still regretting not taking this tree out and bringing the field down and around on this curve. So we've got more jobs to do in the fall. It's too late now. I want to give this grass a chance to finish growing in so that we can start getting some more hay off of it. We're already almost through the hay that we cut off of that field last episode. I made a few loads of TMR off camera, and we've burned through the bulk of those reserves. It's amazing how fast 500 cows are going through all of our feed. I've got to clean up these corner bits a little bit. See if I can circle around like so. Am I out of lime? Oh, it's just not spreading because of the weirdity with precision farming sometimes, where the ground doesn't get covered even though the lime is there. Let me open up the mini map here. That'll help me out. I can actually see what's going on. Good deal. And we are almost out of lime, though. I'm surprised it's taking this much, but I guess this is some pretty decent ground, actually. So let's bring this back up in the yard. I think we had a little bit of lime left in the trailer up here. We'll grab that, but I'm going to need to probably head up to town and get another load if we're going to do both this field and the field we just created behind the house over there. So I'm going to park this right up here next to this trailer, and then we'll go grab our semi, get all hooked up here, and see what we can do. All right, we've got this truck all set up. Let's see if I can reach the wagon from where we're at. There we go. And I need to find the appropriate container here. There we go. It even tells me it's lime right there on the readout. It would be nice if it was actually unloading, though. What's going on? Oh, I'm on the wrong one. It tells me what the next container coming up is. My bad. And yeah, we don't have enough to even fill up the container here, so let's go ahead and get this closed back up, tarp back up, and I will send this up to the bulk fill dry. We're gonna need, I don't even know how much we're gonna need. That's part of the problem. I don't want to overbuy again. I'd rather have this thing get emptied out so we can transport some seed and stuff with it here. In fact, maybe I will fill it up with a bunch of seed while we're down there, but he'll let me know when he gets down there. I'm just making sure I'm actually on the right setting here on auto drive. I have a tendency to send people on their way on the weirdest auto drive modes sometimes. All right, well, this should at least be enough for us to finish doing some of the bits around the middle of the field here with this island. Get some of the stuff that takes a little bit longer because you got to drive around in a circle and all that good stuff. And then by the time he gets back, we should be ready to jump into the other field here, I hope. And I do apologize for my voice, folks. I've been getting over a nasty head cold the last few weeks here. I'm realizing that I'm probably going to sound a little bit froggy on today's episode. We did the live stream last night. What's that, Tuesday night? We did a live stream, and that took about all the energy that I had left in me out. And we're working on getting the videos recorded, trying to get a day or two ahead of the schedule as I record these days. So I'm not always putting out a video or recording the video the same day it comes out. It's often done a few days ahead of time. Helps me keep up with the daily schedule here, which I feel like we've been doing a pretty good job of so far. We've missed a few days here and there since the start of the year, but I've been having a lot of fun getting out regular content here on the channel. And I thought I was going to hit that little bit. We left just the smallest sliver down over there. We're going to have to come back and get a couple of spots in this field since we've just run out of lime. We almost made it. If I'd had just a little bit more lime here, we could have done it, I think. Well, that's all right. I'm going to go ahead and bring this guy back up into the yard so I don't have to bring the semi out here. And we'll go check and see where he's at from a getting more lime perspective. All right, I am back up here at the dry fill area. I'm going to go ahead and fill up with lime here. Now, if I remember right, these containers or the compartments on this trailer are in some very weird spots. So I have to try and figure out where to get the fill trigger. Like, I'm clearly lined up with the compartment behind this one. I don't know how this happens. I want this next compartment. I'm trying to find the fill point for it. All right, I'm going to do half lime, and we're going to put seed into the front three, and hopefully I don't have any regrets. I can't remember how much seed we're going to need for this, though, so we may be putting too much seed in the semi. I'm not sure. I can't remember if we have dry fertilizer or a liquid on the planter either, so I'm not going to get any dry fertilizer just yet. Actually, we should probably go look. It looks like I do have liquid tanks on here, so we'll be putting liquid down with the planter. That's cool. I don't have a liquid transport at the moment, and I just ran out of money to buy more seed. Let's go ahead and borrow a little bit more. All right, so we're all topped off. Let's go ahead and get tarped up and back up to the farm. No need for me to suffer through that. We'll go ahead and... Man, I was hoping that there'd be a yard point for me here, but it looks like we don't have anything, so I'll go ahead and queue it up right there. While we wait for the truck to get back up here, we're gonna bring this 7810 up into the shop here. We've got some work to do to change it over, get it all ready for planting season. The plan is to run this thing on our 12-row Kinsey planter here. And so part of that is I'm gonna swap off the front loader attacher for some Demco side tank attachers to hold some more liquid fertilizer here, which we're going to be putting on while we're planting. And then we also need to toss our jewels on here, along with the weights that we've got on there still. I think I like that a lot. I think those are really the only changes that we need to make here. I just want to make sure nothing else got turned off, so we'll go ahead and customize this. There we go. Now we're all set up here for planting just about. I have to get this thing over into the yard and pick up our tanks that we just got out. Now, I think these have got to go on a specific way, and as always, I think our other tractor's going to be in the way here, so I'm not going to be able to make that turn. Alright, 1 second, folks. We'll go ahead and just back this guy around here and get these tanks set up. Perfect. That's what I like. And so this is all going to get put over onto the Kinsey planter here in just a little bit to start our planting season in April. We've got a couple more weeks to go, but it always pays to get the equipment hooked up and ready. This should be a fun setup to play around with here. And it looks like our semi made it back up here as well. So let's go ahead and hijack this, get it back up into the yard where it's needed. And just to make sure we don't run into this problem again, I'm going to go ahead and put a farm yard point in the middle here so that I can send vehicles back up here without having to chase them down. We're going to put it right here in the middle of the yard. Farm yard. Boom. All right, so let's see. Seeds, lime. Oh, there's even a light on the back that tells me which hopper I'm about to pull out of, which is really handy. I never noticed that before right here. It's showing me that I'm on hopper 4. Convenience. Oh wow, it took 2 full hoppers already. And we're going into the 3rd. I guess I forgot how much lime this Proforce can hold. Hopefully we're going to have enough here to hit the remainder of this field and get into the next field. I really didn't want to have to run up for lime again. I feel I always underestimate the amount of lime I'm going to need for a given field. It's one of those jobs I just haven't done a ton of in Farm Sim. I don't pay enough attention, I guess I should say, to really understand how much product we're going to need. And so I'm going to try and hit all of these bits, at least that register as needing some lime. Oh, I missed a tiniest little sliver there. We'll get it when we turn around here. And despite this tractor having tons of horsepower, this spreader is got a lot of weight to it. And with these hills and such, and especially when I'm turning, I find that it struggles a little bit. I'm seeing a little missed bit down here on the edge of the field. I'm going to try and hit this as well. Perfect. All right. We've got all of this field done now, I'm pretty sure. Let me just zoom into the big mode. I don't see any spots left. So let's see if I can get us up the hill, and we're going to top ourselves off and head on over and see how far we're going to get on the other field over there. The good news is that field's not as big, so we've got a pretty good shot here of getting all of our lime into it. All right, all topped off, not quite emptying out the semis, so we do have a little bit more product we can come back and get if we need to. I did top off the fuel in this thing while we were waiting as well, so we're in a good shape. I've been filling up all of the tractors on the farm as we've used them in the last episode or so here. And I'm realizing I should have brought some dry fertilizer back to spread on these fields as well, because I don't think I've got another solution yet for putting down nitrogen on our grass fields. Did not think about that at all. It does look like this is going to go a little bit easier. I'm feeling confident that we're going to have enough lime for this field. But I've been confident on these things in the past, so I suppose we'll wait and see. It is a nice and easy field to spread in, though. Spread in? My goodness, can't even talk this morning. Given that we did a good job to try and keep it nice and straight along the field edges here. I'm giving myself a big pat on the back right now because that's going to make this field a lot easier to tackle in the future for both the mowing side of things as well as picking it up, putting down fertilizer, etc. We're coming back up to the end here. I'm at 25%. I actually think we might have enough to finish off that little sliver down the middle of the field. If I'd been paying more attention, I might have actually been wide enough to completely wrap that up in a single pass, but maybe not. We didn't overlap off the edges of the field that much, so it's a little bit wider of a pass left here than I was thinking a second ago. That's all right. We'll definitely get it in a single pass, though, width-wise. I'm more just worried about if we're going to have enough product to get to the end of the field. It's going to come up a little bit short, it looks like. So I'm going to have to run back up in the yard and get the rest of that fertilizer that we've got in the semi to be able to finish that, which is unfortunate. I probably should have just ran up there while I was on that end of the field. Didn't even think about it. Well, it's not like it's a long drive to get back up into the yard here. We just got to get around the house and hop back out on the road here. Now, the real question, or the real frustration I'm going to have is if we don't have enough product to finish, I'm probably going to just call it good enough. I don't think we're going to be going anywhere to get more lime at this stage. I think we're just going to run with what we've got. So let me go ahead and get this thing all closed back up for the time being. Although there is quite a bit in there. Yeah, we're doing good. 25% has got to be enough to finish this field off. So let's get back out there and see if I'm right. All right, here we go. Last strip. Oh, we can really get booking it down these hills, apparently. Don't go into the water. Good deal. Looks good. We've got just a smidge of lime left in the hopper here. Not a big deal at all. Worked out perfectly for us. And now all I got to do at some point here is figure out how we're going to get nitrogen down on both of these fields. Like I said, we should have probably just brought some dry fertilizer back with us. Of course, then I wouldn't have been able to bring the seed back. And I'm not too worried about it. We can circle back and put some nitrogen down on these fields a little bit later and get that going. We may think about how we want to do that. I'm pretty sure we're going to just use dry with this spreader. I think that's going to be our easiest option. But we might have to pick up a sprayer here at some point. And so there's a chance that I might do liquid and spray on, depending on how much liquid fertilizer we end up having left from our planting experiences. So I think the plan is going to be to move time forward, switch over, and start planting. And then we'll have to circle back to the nitrogen on the grass fields a little bit later here. It's one of those things where, you know, I've been working in the same couple of fields for a while now, and I'm, ready to move on. We did not get that backed up right at all. And so I need to bounce around and check out some different parts of the farm and do some different jobs. And even though we're doing different things to these fields, I'm really just ready to move into some different parts of the farm altogether. I don't think there's collisions on these walls. Oh no, I managed to more or less back this thing in there, right? Alright, well, I guess there's no reason for me to take this anywhere. We'll just leave the 9630 here in the shed. Oh, I've got a couple pallets of seed here left over from probably planting the grass. We'll be using a lot of seed here. Let's go and get the planter all hooked up here real quick, and we'll see what we can do to get started with this here. I think I've got to move time forward to April before we're ready to start planting corn and soybeans. I want to get everything all hooked up and ready to go ahead of that. I really like these older setups with the saddle tanks and such. We ran a a planter setup similar to this back when I was farming, I don't know, 25 plus years ago. So it's always fun to set things up in a similar way to something that you've actually gotten a chance to drive in real life. Although I have to say this Kinsey planter is a very different style than anything I'm used to. It's up on this platform and stuff like this, and it does some weird lift and pivot deal. And I've never had a chance to actually play around with anything like this before. I mean, I've used this mod or similar mods in the past on Farm Sim, but from a realism perspective, I've just never played around with this before. We're gonna fire this back up and see how easy it's gonna be to dump seed into this planter. Might have to actually drive forward a little bit here. I keep seeing it like almost drop into the hopper, so I'm trying to lower this down a bit to figure out why we're not quite getting in there. So I know I've opened up the covers here, but I'm beginning to wonder if maybe I do need to unfold this before we can fill it with seed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, because we're not getting a fill on here yet. And we'll just pull it right back in here. Maybe I'll spin around here and back up. It'll give me a little bit better angle. There we go. We can actually fill this up with the trailer. Took a minute to get everything lined up. It was a little more finicky than I was expecting. That's all right. We've got a fair amount of seed in there. We almost used the whole front container there, so that's good. We'll get this thing all tarped back up then. We'll be using quite a bit of seed, I'm expecting, as we go through things. And at some point, I think we're also going to need a nurse trailer of some kind to bring the liquid fertilizer out to the field to refill ourselves. I'm really not sure exactly what options I've got for that. Interestingly, I have not put anything on the server for hauling liquid nitrogen here. You know what? I think for today, just to get started and to figure out how much we're going to need, I'm going to call up to the co-op and just have them deliver some product for us. And then in the future here, I'm going to figure out how we can purchase a trailer and do a better job of mixing up larger quantities and bringing them out to the field. I don't want to be bringing pallets out and around everywhere. I'm going to fill up these rear tanks first, and then we'll fill up the saddle tanks. We'll buy one more here just to see how full we get. So between the rear tanks and the saddle tanks, I've got 1,300 gallons of liquid fertilizer here. Not bad at all. All right, so I have moved the time forward here. We're now finally into the first week of April. So let's go ahead and get this thing all fired up here, and we're gonna run and I think plant our first field of corn. Now I do need to fold this thing up to get it out of the yard. We're never going to fit through the gate like this. I'm not sure. I have to imagine that this hydraulic is set up in a way to be able to lift it while it's full of seed. It's just quite an elaborate setup here to fold itself up. I guess this way it's better than having big wing hydraulics. I don't know. It's an interesting design. I'd love to hear from people who have actually used or worked on these, if they feel like this is a better design from an engineering perspective than the more typical wing folding or center fold type mechanisms that I've seen on other brand planters. And we've really only got 3 fields here that need to be planted. We're going to start with corn, I think, this year. And I'm going to jump down over here and start on this smaller field that we've got with our corn rows. I'm also wondering if this 12-row planter is going to start to feel pretty small as I get into these bigger fields. That's one of the reasons I want to start with the smallest field we've got, is just to see how it feels on the small field before we get into a larger field setup. And I think we are going to start with our headland rows here with the planter, and then we'll move on to the up-down rows. I know I've had a lot of debates with people on the different styles of whether you should do headlands first or last. And with this, because we're not doing any special kinds of crop growth, we're not ridge tilling or anything like that, we are going to go ahead and put the headlands in first, I believe. I was kind of expecting a planted texture. This is more like a drill texture. Interesting. Farm Sim always confuses me with its ground textures and how it uses them when we get different ones. I don't know what to expect half of the time. And I'm not using GPS on my headlands here. I probably should have, because we've got some really curvy rows down there on the other side. Let's put this into a more appropriate gear for planting. I think I can get going like 9 with this thing. Normally, with the 12-row planter, we only ever did 2 headland passes. I think that's going to be enough. I'm going to set down and just clean this little piece up while I'm thinking of it. And I'm going to take the far end of the field down here. We're going to set up our GPS track, and we'll do some headland passes down on the other end once we get down there. So we have made a few rounds here. We've got our headlands all taken off. I missed a bit in the corner here. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up as long as we're here before I forget about it. And I'm noticing a couple of things here. One is I forget just how much nitrogen you need to put on for corn. And so I'm actually really happy that we came out here and spread all of that slurry. It gave us a good chunk of nitrogen, put us about halfway there. If we hadn't done that, we'd be burning through this liquid fertilizer a lot faster than we are. As it stands, we're actually keeping up with the corn pretty well. We're using up more seed than we are fertilizer in the parts that we've done so far, although I'm starting to get into some areas where we didn't spread nearly as much. You can see there's some darker orange and yellow areas on some of the parts of this field. And so as we drive through those and have to apply more nitrogen, we are applying them pretty similar rates, or maybe not similar rates, but similar relative rates with respect to how big the tanks are that are holding both of these products. And so we'll get through this field for sure without needing more seed and fertilizer. But I'm happy to know that I'm not going to be having to refill one a ton more than the other. I like when we've got our capacities kind of balanced out and I can do both refills at the same time. I am going to be on the lookout for a good trailer that I can put both some seed on as well as some liquid fertilizer if at all possible. I'd love to have one tender trailer that could handle both of those. But barring that, we might get a tank to pull behind the pickup truck, like a small nurse trailer of some kind. And then we've obviously got the big conveyal for our seed and other dry products. and that would allow me to have both out at the field at the same time rather than having to purchase another semi to haul a bigger trailer around. I think having something that we can pull behind the pickup truck would do us a lot of good, and it would give us another use for the pickup because we haven't had a lot to do with it since we got done with bales here and switched everything over to using the forage harvester there. And I like to make sure that all the equipment on our farm serves a purpose. So let's see, I'm doing real good here with the 2 headland passes. This planter is running great. It turns real easy into the rows, and we're running at 9 miles an hour, so we're making good time here for sure. However, I think we're going to just dive into it here and see if we can wrap this field up. Alright, we are gonna start off on our last pass here, and it's half of a pass it looks like. That's alright. We've done great here on both seed and fertilizer. As it turns out, as we got to this side of the field, we used less and less fertilizer. We had a pretty good coverage with that cow manure. So we're going to be in a good spot on this field. I'm really liking how well this planting setup is working, and I think we're going to be able to probably tackle the rest of this other cornfield with the fertilizer that we've got on us right now, if I'm doing my math correctly. But that's all right. I'm just hoping we can finish up this last pass before the rain comes in here. I find as we're playing with the 4-day months that we get a lot more variety in our weather. It looks like we've got rain expected here between 3 in the afternoon to 5 p.m. So we've got plenty of time, but no more rain in the forecast for the next few weeks. It's just going to be kind of a mix of clouds and sun, which is great. We want to definitely get the rest of our planting done here before we see any more rain. That's always the risk with playing with more weather and stuff turned on. When I was doing single day seasons, I felt like the weather was pretty mild most of the time, and we never really ran the risk of getting rained out or anything like that while we were in the middle of doing jobs. And I'm kind of liking having this risk of rain looming over my head for trying to wrap up a job before it comes. Now, I've got all of this field done. We're going to be putting corn into this next field here as well. And rather than take things up to the yard to refill them, I think when we start back off here at next episode, I'm going to just start down here, and we'll knock the headlands off on this end, and then that'll leave us in a good position to go down and hit the other headlands, and then maybe we'll come and top things off. If I come out here, though, it looks like this field is now in great state, and yeah, I don't know. This has been a lot of fun. I'm really loving this planting setup. It looks amazing and works just as good. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Subscribe for daily farm sim content. That's all for today. Ketterk out.